Known for its pristine reef system, Bonaire is protected by one of the first marine parks of its kind in the world. In a continued effort to preserve the reef system for future generations, Buddy Dive started the Coral Restoration Foundation Bonaire. Fully equipped rental trucks and unlimited air and nitrox are available on land, making it easy to explore more than 86 award-winning dive sites.
Welcome to our Traveling Thursday. We are traveling to Bonaire tonight. I can actually hear the rain outside here in Vancouver, so it's the perfect setup to go and explore the tropics a little bit. We are grateful that Herman, Mr. G from Buddy Dive, is with us here tonight that late. And I'm going to let him speak in a moment, but for now, I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what we will be doing tonight. Many of you already know this. A little bit of an introduction and the world travel situation. You will be getting an overview of Bonaire and an overview of the diving on Bonaire, and then an introduction to Buddy Dive and their diving operation. And at the end of this call, for those who maybe are here for the first time today, we will have a Q&A. So keep your questions. We will ask you to put them in the chat later on. And then we will get through all of them, most of them, depending on the time. And we'll also let you know where we will be going in 2 weeks. So those of you who do not know who we are, this is our team, Fly and Sea Dive Adventures. We have been a dive travel wholesaler and a dive travel specialist, or a travel agency for scuba divers, for almost 25 years now. That is all we do all day long. And there is a combined 70 plus years of experience. I probably need to update this at some point. It probably is a little bit more now. And there is hardly a destination or resort that we haven't sent, or liveaboard that we haven't sent people to. Many destinations, liveaboards, and resorts that we partner with. And we are actually heading to DEMA, the Dive Industry Show, Dive Industry Show next week in Las Vegas. We are IATA appointed, which means we can issue our own tickets, have better control over schedule changes and how we issue tickets. So that is a huge advantage. We book both groups as well as individuals. So, and individuals anytime, where you want, when you want, or if you are wanting to join a group. Most of our groups are conducted through dive shops that we work with all over North America, so Canada and the US. And just a reminder, some of you have been on every webinar this fall, which means you have had lots of entries in our fall grand prize contest. We will be drawing for a 5-night, 4-day diving package on December 9th, which is our last webinar before Christmas. And it is at Wally Wally Beach Resort. Every time you show up and you actually stay on a webinar, you will be getting an entry. So some of you have already accumulated quite a few. This is changing, not as rapidly anymore, but we know that Fiji is opening on December 1st, and Grand Cayman has a soft opening at the end of November, or the Cayman Islands, I should say, at the end of November. There is a number of international destinations on here, including Bonaire. So we are featuring a destination tonight that you can actually travel to. What is important? The vaccination. I think we all know by now, both Canada and the US, you need to be vaccinated to get on a plane and to enter our countries, and then many other countries in the world that is added as well. Vaccine passports, mostly digital QR codes on your phones, are becoming the norm as well. Testing is probably here to stay for a little while. There's various test requirements for every country. We are staying up to date on this all the time. Any changes, we will let you know when you've booked a trip with us. It changes when you go, when you return. Insurance, even more important than it ever was before. And masks are here to stay. They will probably be with us, at least on planes, for quite some time. I'm going to let Herman, and I'm pretty sure many of you have actually met him. He is also the tech guru at Buddy Dive. So I will let you share your screen, and then you can go ahead and talk to us about Bonaire and Buddy Dive.
Thank you very much, Petra, for the introduction. Thank you very much for the invitation one more time. And it's absolute pleasure, to join you tonight and then your afternoon in Canada. To share a little bit about, our little piece of paradise right here down at Bonaire. First of all, like Petra mentioned, my name is Herman. I'm more kind of well-known as Mr. G. And I've been working for Buddy Dive for the last 15 years. My specific role at Buddy Dive at this specific moment is to be in charge of the technical diver department, which includes support for open circuit, closed circuit divers, and then all the teaching related to this specific type of classes. But at the same time, when I'm needed, I work as a dive instructor as well. And overall, I can basically do a little bit of everything within the dive operation. Let me explain, or let me kind of contextualize a little bit about the location of Bonaire globally and exactly where we are. So, as you probably know, there are kind of three important islands that they used to call the ABC Islands or the Caribbean Netherlands, okay, that actually is not really existing anymore. And we are basically a little bit up north of Venezuela. We are pretty close to Curacao, which is kind of the biggest island between all of three, all right? And we are pretty much in the middle of it, or in the middle of the size. Everybody kind of consider Aruba bigger than Bonaire, but actually we are actually bigger than it. But we have a very, very low population. And we are pretty well known because our reef is extremely well preserved. And the island is still, let's call it, a little bit wild. So that's kind of a different experience compared to any of the other two islands. Something really important to know about our location is that we still, until now, we are out of the hurricane belt, which means that you can book the trip anytime during the year round, and then the possibilities of having the trip canceled because we have bad weather, because we have a hurricane passing by or anything like that is extremely low. So we are really, really lucky to be part of at this specific location and not being kind of harmed by any hurricane until now. So fingers crossed, and let's see if that things continue. A little bit more on the inside of the island itself. So Bonaire is kind of a boomerang-shaped islands. All right, it's quite small. It's only 24 miles long, and then only about 3 to 5 miles wide. Which means that if you decide to drive from the east coast to the west coast, following pretty much a straight line, it's going to take you about 25 minutes, half an hour max. And when you decide to explore from north to south, including the Washington Park and all that, it will take you about 2 to 3 hours. So it is kind of small, but it doesn't really matter because there is so many things to do in between. We have a sister island that is pretty much in front of us on the west coast of it. And the name of the island is Klein Bonaire. And Klein means small Bonaire. It's fully protected, is completely surrounded by an incredible reef. And the island is being protected for over 20-25 years. So basically, nobody is allowed to stay at night. There is absolutely no human intrusion around it. We only can take the boats there, go for a dive, and come back. And every single person that is on the island needs to come back before 5 to the main island. Bonaire, like I said, is being protected for many years, and there is a marine park that is taking care of it. The name of the marine park, or the name of the agency that is taking care of it, is Estinapa. And they've been doing this for about 50 years. It's full protection of all the water surrounding Bonaire, up to 200 feet or 60 meters, which means that this is the reason why when you come to the island, you have to pay this small fee to be able to jump into it, because a big part of this fee goes into a full protection of what is the most important part of us, and that's basically the reef itself. We had a small, tiny airport. It's still international airport, and I will say that it's probably one of the most friendliest international airport that I ever know, because it's so small. There is basically no lines at all going through it. Immigration is tiny little thing, and from the very through beginning, when you step out of the plane, you feel absolutely welcome to a complete different destination. Nothing that you can really picture yourself about into a big airport or anything like that. Of course, the name of the airport is related to one of the most beautiful animals we have on Bonaire, and that's the flamingo airport. Extremely easy, for people that is kind of accustomed to deal with a US dollar, because that's basically our local currency, and it's accepted pretty much everywhere. We have multicultural background when we talk about languages. Pretty much all the locals are going to be able to talk to you, to answer to you in all kinds of different ones. The official one is going to be Papiamento, all right? And Dutch, of course, being a Dutch island, a special municipality from Holland. But English is widely spoken by anyone, and even Spanish is pretty much easy to kind of catch up with any of the locals, of any of the people that works at the resort. Very small still, only 21,000 inhabitants on the island, and is slowly but surely increasing, but not to the point that it's getting even close to Curacao or to Aruba at all. Bonaire is extremely well known, of course, for everything that is related to in-water activities. But before we move into the diving itself, it is important to remember that you have also plenty of other activities to perform outside of diving. So, for example, Bonaire is extremely famous for the world champions created right here, windsurfing world champions, at a beautiful place located in the south of the island. Then we have an incredible amount of people doing kite surf, and very good amount of people just flying to Bonaire for kite surf because the nice steady winds that we have through all year round. There is even possibilities for people that they don't really want to get wet, or they just definitely want to explore something different. So we have a series of dry caves that you can explore at the same time. And of course, for non-divers, the possibilities are just unlimited, because you can just go ahead and take your basic scuba gear, snorkel, fins, and mask, and then jump in any place you want. And then you're going to encounter creatures like this, like the sea turtle and so on. So it is extremely easy to go around and to find complete different things. Our location is also pretty unique, because we have a long history, right, within salt production. And what you can see on your up left is a place, or the houses, that is called the place called Red Slave, which is extremely well associated to the salt production on the island. On the right top, basically what you see is a picture taken at the Washington Slackbite Park, which is a park located on the north side of the island. And it's extremely important, because it's fully protected, and second, because it is the place where you want to go on your non-diving day. It is absolutely beautiful photography. It is fantastic for snorkeling, and it is absolutely incredible for seeing flamingos up close to it. Then there are possibilities for the more adventurous people and the ones that they really want to go the under part of the island, which is some kind of a wet cave exploration. And there is a couple of specific caves where you can just go ahead and perform this activity, of course, following strict safety rules and procedures. And what you see down below on the right is an aerial picture of the island of Clam Bonaire, and the beautiful area that is called No Name Beach. So when you think about the tropics, when you think about the Caribbean, I think if you close your eyes, this is something that you are going to picture yourself into your mind. And this is exactly what we have. Absolutely beautiful blue crystal water surrounded by beautiful white sandy beach. So the location is just absolutely unbeatable. Then we have some fauna and flora as well, of course. We have loras, we have plenty of flamingos, and at the same time, as you probably remember if you've been here before, we have wild donkeys going all the way around, which is making really, really fun. We have an area that is dedicated to protect the donkeys, but still we have plenty of them, walking around the streets and doing all kinds of crazy things. So that makes it really, really unique destination for it. Next to the loras, to the right, you have the beautiful Rincon, which is kind of the oldest village of Bonaire, where the local people live, that you can reach from the capital of Bonaire, Kralendijk, at about probably 20-25 minutes to it. It's really beautiful to drive around, and anywhere you will pass by through it when you decide to go to visit Washington Park, or when you decide to pass the dive site named Carpata, which is pretty much the last one you can visit on the north side of the island. On the left side, what it looks like white pyramids is basically the salt production taken on some of the ships, probably to UK, to the States, or somewhere else. And what you can see below is desalination pools. So basically the salt right there is being evaporated, the water is being evaporated, and what it stays is basically the salt that later on is taken on the piles by big loaders. And on the right side, on the back, you have the island of Clan Bonaire, and of course the beautiful bay of Bonaire, which is kind of extremely gorgeous to see. We are well known as the shore diving capital of the world, and we name ourselves like this is the absolute diver's paradise. And there are different reasons why we truly believe that this is a true paradise for divers. Number one is that I don't think in any other place in the world you have the freedom to dive truly 24/7. It's basically just take your tank, take your truck, and then start driving around the island. Stop anywhere you want, and anywhere you want, you just get into the water and you're going to find absolutely incredible reef, which means that you have absolute freedom to go ahead and dive anytime, as many times as you want during the day or during the night. 80 plus dive sites, 60 of them extremely accessible from shore without any complications at all. All the dive sites are named or marked with yellow rocks on the street, so it cannot be more Caribbean about it. You just take your map, start driving your car, and then start paying attention to the rocks on the street, and then as soon as you find the name of the dive site that you are looking into, so then you just basically stop right there and then go for a wonderful dive. The water is clear. The area is absolutely fantastic. Water temperature right now, I don't even want to tell you because you're going to be a little mad with me, but right now it's 28 Celsius, 82, 84 Fahrenheit. So it is just jumping in the water is just absolutely incredible pleasure. We are full of small creatures, frogfish, seahorses, all kind of small tropical fish, blennies, gobies, and when we are lucky, we can find even bigger stuff like eagle rays. This week we have a report of a manta ray, and if we are super lucky, maybe even sharks and things like this. But Bonaire is really well known for the possibilities of macro photography. So when you're looking for a beautiful, cool little fish, this is the place to be. We have two wrecks, or let's say we have two main wrecks. We have many more, but the ones that are really well known is the wreck of the Hilma Hooker, which is a very easy shore dive. You don't even really need a boat to go to it, and it's a 30-meter, 100-foot dive. But it's extremely beautiful, and the wreck has been down there for about 30 years. And we have a second wreck that is extremely well known from our technical diver visitors, which is called the Windjammer wreck. The Windjammer has been down there for about 110 years. There is a lot of history associated to it, but unfortunately, it's quite deep. You have to have a Trimix certification, you have to be a technical diver, and until this specific moment, must be a guided dive because it's located in front of a very important facility for the island itself, which is the Bonaire Petroleum Company area. As you can see, we have a yellow frogfish, some angelfish cleaning right there on the left side. Down below, it's a picture of the Hilma hooker, and of course, a beautiful turtle. So all these kind of little things is the ones that you're going to find right here. And then there is not really any specific place to look for them. You just need to go ahead and, expend as much as time as you want in the water, and then you're going to find it without much problem. Otherwise, of course, we can just go ahead and go with you and then give you a hand of finding the special creature that you want to see while visiting Bonaire. Now talking a little bit more into the resort that I work for. The name of the place, of course, is Buddy Dive Resort. I will say that it's probably the best equipped resort on the island. We have pretty much everything that you might need for your diving vacation. You just mentioned, and 99% of the times, the answer is going to be yes, we have it. We have 73 apartments, including studios, 1, 2, and 3 bedroom apartments. All of the bedrooms are air conditioning. We have 2 on-site restaurants, so you don't really have to go outside of the hotel at all. After you come back from your dives, you just go ahead and stop and grab a bite and then go for another dive. We have 2 swimming pools. We have a couple of artificial beaches that is still really, really beautiful, and they give you access to the ocean down the steps and down to the dock. We also own our own fleet of rental cars that, if you decide, they can come included on your package. So you don't only book your accommodation, but also your diving and your transportation with one of our cars. We have a pretty unique area, what is called the drive-through. And the drive-through, it's a facility that when you think about going through the drive-through of any fast food chain or anything like that, or even going, I don't know if you have that, the COVID drive-through that everybody has now, where you just make a line, just wait for a couple of minutes, and then you're going to be redirected to an area where you can find your air or nitrox tanks. You help yourself. There is people always also to help you right there. And then you take the tanks that you need for the day, and then you just basically drive out and then just keep going. We have, at this very specific moment, 6 custom dive boats. The smallest one is a boat for 10 people. The biggest one is going to be a boat for about 20 to 24 people. Due to the situation, of course, we try to minimize the amount of people that jumps into the boat. So we are, of course, taking in consideration exactly, how the world is changing. And of course, we try to adapt to it. We have a beautiful house reef named Buddy's Reef, of course. That's a place where you can just go ahead and dive 24/7, like the rest of the island. But the difference right here is that you have your room right there. So you just get out of the bed, take your tank, go for it, and then enjoy the reef. Of course, we have full access to oxygen, full access to any type of emergencies equipment that you might need when we are not at the shop. So it is fantastic, and at the same time, it's extremely safe to dive with. And we have multilingual staff to help you out. So from Spanish, like myself, English, Papiamento, Dutch, French, Italian. So you name it. It's I don't think anyone is going to find himself in any trouble when trying to speak to any of the staff members out there. This is the brand new and renovated Blenny's restaurant. The renovation was completed during the COVID period. It is like an absolute brand new restaurant, brand new menu. The service is fantastic, and the location is just basically unbeatable. It's open from early in the morning all the way until night, so you can just go ahead and grab a bite, grab a coffee, have lunch, or have dinner without much problem. Then when you're looking for a special occasion, maybe, and what I hear from our guests is like when they come here, they say that, well, this is the absolute very first time during COVID period of time that I can go out for a dinner. And what a better way to celebrate in a place like this. It's a little bit more upscale restaurant with a very beautiful menu to choose from, and with an absolute $1 million view. It's just it's just astonishing, what you can see from the restaurant itself. And the name of the restaurant is Ingredients, and is basically on top of the dive shop. Then our apartments are well equipped. We have a small kitchen with a few items and a fridge. Some of them, they have a beautiful balcony. And then, as you can see, again, you have $1 million view from it. Rooms are well equipped, beautiful bed that you can transform into single bed, double bed. It's your call. Just when you make your reservation, just let us know how you want to have your apartment prepared. And then a nice, super nice living room where you can just go ahead and expand the afternoon or the night talking about the dives that you did during your day. The dive shop is absolute full service. Like I explained to you, we have pretty much everything. All the courses are covered from true beginner level with kids, technical diving, and even professional classes, dive master, instructor, and basically you name it. We have free nitrox, available on the package when certified to dive nitrox. And at this specific moment, I think that pretty much 80% of the dive population dives nitrox, so you have free access to it without any problem. All the rental equipment is in extremely good shape, well maintained and well sanitized after somebody rented. We have a retail shop if you decide to look for something new or something breaks and you need to replace it. And we have an activity center located also at the same place at the dive shop. The drive-through, it's the absolute best part of the resort that we'll consider. And again, it's we also have a full tech facility, which is the facility that I take care of and the facility that I run. You can, if you are thinking on switching your career, if you're thinking about moving on with your dive education and you already reached the level of a dive master, rescue diver, or something like that, so you can think about and becoming a pro. And we have about 4 to 6 IDCs getting ready for the year of 2022. So it's plenty of opportunities to go through it. There is also possibilities when you are traveling with small kids that they don't really have a lot of experience, not even snorkeling or something like that. We can just go ahead and take them and give them the introduction to Bubble Maker, to SEAL Team, and any of these classes. We have GUE classes as well, and probably some of you are already familiar with GUE because now Canada is kind of growing its population of GUE divers. So I'm also a GUE instructor, Global Underwater Explorer instructor, and I'm more than happy, of course, to help you out and to provide anything related to any type of certification or support when you are a GUE diver. And of course, the instructor development classes that, like I said, it's 6 times a year. Kids is not a problem. So we have a Buddy Kids Club taking care of them while you are diving or when they just are extremely interested in learning a little bit about the underwater world. We have SASI, we have Paddy SEAL Teams, Bubble Makers, Discovery Squad diving classes, junior Paddy classes, and a specific event fully related to kids traveling with parents, which is the Kids Sea Camp. Technical diving, if you're an open circuit diver or if you're a closed circuit diver, it is absolutely not a problem to support any of your needs. Very common question from our technical divers is if we can provide helium, if we can provide pure oxygen for their decompression, if we can provide support to the rebreathers or the CCR, and the answer is yes to all. We've been preparing for, to be able to support this type of diving for over 10 years. Actually, this year we celebrate the 10th anniversary of our event called Bonaire Tech, which is run every the first week of October. And like I said, in the last 10 years, we've been getting all kinds of different gear, all kinds of different tanks and gases needed for technical diving. We also have, and we are going to run in the end of May, between the 24th and the 1st of June, an event called Operation CCR, which is an event fully dedicated to people that is interested in learning what it means closed circuit diving. And it's also fully related to people that is already into it. So people that is interested in making more hours into the unit itself. So technical diving, we are ready to help you out with anything you need. We care a lot about protection. We care a lot about conservation, and we are trying to put our hand into trying to help the reef to recover. So Reef Renewal Foundation works actively together with Buddy Dive and some other dive shops on the island with a primary vision of helping out to restore the reef. The reef is being hit by many different reasons, and then they are actively working in restoring the reef. They are quite successful with it because they've been doing this for about 9 years now. And the true factors of it is like they already involve 7 dive centers, being Buddy Dive one of the main ones. They have 6 nursery sites between Bonaire and Klein Bonaire. And the number is actually pretty impressive. If I'm not wrong, right now is even bigger. More than 13,000 corals they've been already. They are growing into the nurseries. And since 2013, over 20,000 corals have been transplanted into the reef. So it's not a small number to look at. And if you've been here before, probably you remember how the shallows at Buddy's Reef used to look like. Mostly coral rubble, a little bit of soft coral, a little bit of hard coral somewhere there. But right now, it is absolutely incredible the change that the transplant of the stack-cone coral is being produced into the reef. There is so many more fish associated to our reef, and there is so much coral growing around both on the north side and the south side of our pier. Regarding travel information, as Petra explained, basically travel information change day by day. It is still extremely active situation around the world, but you have to pay in consideration a couple of things. So number one, to find the most updated information about traveling, you have to go to a website that is called www.bonairecrisis.com. Right there, you're going to have every bit of information needed in order to make a safe trip to Bonaire. We are divided on the government divide, the countries through what is called very low risk, high risk, and very high risk. So you have to find yourself right there, your country of residence. And let's say that we are talking about Canada. And as you can see, you are located into kind of the yellow area of it, which means low risk, which is fantastic for you guys because that gives you a lot of freedom to travel to us. All right. So for fully vaccinated people, it is almost piece of cake. Okay. For people that is not fully vaccinated, they still need to take the PCR test. But like I said, it is important before you travel. And then, of course, get in contact with the girls from Fly and See and make sure that you have the most updated information from it. But I will have to say, and I'm lucky, to tell you that Bonaire has been doing really well with the COVID situation. Almost 85% of the population is fully vaccinated with the 2 doses. All the staff of the hotel is fully vaccinated, so we are really, really happy and I will say in pretty good shape at this specific moment, and more than happy to have you back to our island. Different ways to travel to Bonaire. If you are flying from Canada, so you can just go ahead and catch WestJet, flying from Toronto to Curacao. There is a possibility also to travel via Air Canada. And do not be scared when you see Curacao right there as a main destination, because actually traveling from Curacao to Bonaire is extremely easy. It's only a very short flight that takes 15 to 20 minutes. The airline that travels is a very reliable airline. It's called DVDV, and they have about 10 to 15 flights every single day back and forth from the island. Very cool planes. It will be a flight that you will never forget. And like I said, is super, super reliable. They are always on time. It's extremely rare if they are not on time. Then if you're flying from the US, we have our main kind of a connection through Delta between Atlanta and Bonaire. It's a direct flight. We have American Airlines flying from Miami to Bonaire. And the frequency is going to increase. Actually, the more we are getting closer to the high season, the more they are going to fly. And of course, we can fly. You guys can fly also through United Airlines via Houston or Newark. So this is kind of the most updated travel information that you can get, at least from us. So with this, I would like to say that my presentation is almost over. I hope you enjoyed. I'm more than welcome, to answer any questions to the best of my knowledge. And then, of course, we are more than ready to welcome you back to this beautiful little piece of paradise, because definitely this is a place to enjoy life and to enjoy diving to the most.
Awesome. Thank you, Herman. I love just all your passion for the island, and it obviously shows how much you love it and how much you know. And obviously you've been there for a long time. And I know many of the people on the call have been on Bonaire as well, probably more than once, many of them. So I'm going to hand over the mic to Irene. She's been monitoring the chat, and any of you that have additional questions, between the three of us, we're going to try to get you the answer. So Irene, just go ahead.
What's the best routing to get to Bonaire from Calgary? So you can connect to Toronto is probably the simplest, to Curacao and over to Bonaire, but you can also connect to any of the U.S. cities from Calgary. Ruth Ann is asking, which sites are the most likely to find a seahorse?
That's a very common question. And let's say that the right answer for it will be like pretty much all of them. You just really need to look far for them. You just really need to look hard. They are well known to be in different locations, different places. They tend to move around all the time. And if I will have to point out a specific location for seahorses or frogfish, I will definitely send the divers to a place called Something Special Reef. It's a beautiful reef and is well known for both seahorses and frogfish, or a place called Andrea 1 or Andrea 2. Those are also very well known, and they both are easy access from shore.
Bruce is asking, is there a chamber on the island?
Oh, yes, absolutely. We have a beautiful recompression chamber that is fully available for divers. It is absolutely state of the art. So that's what actually brings a lot of safety into the equation when people come here to do really deep diving and technical diving, that if something goes wrong, there is a chamber 5 minutes away.
Does Buddy Dive still own and operate Caribbean Club Resort?
We never own Caribbean Club Resort. We provide services to it by administering the property and by providing services with the dive operation that we had there. Right now, we are not anymore at that place. So basically, we are located right now at Buddy's, which is the center of it, and Belmar Apartments. So those are the places that are fully associated to us.
Kim is asking, what is the ages for the different dive programs for kids? And
so you can, yep.
And so the rest of that question is, do the parents or grandparents, do they have to stay with the children? Do they drop them off and leave them? How does that work?
Well, actually, the answer is quite simple. We will take care of your kids. You don't have to be with them. If you trust us to take care of them, and then that we will bring them back happy and smiling, so then it's perfectly fine. You can stay with them. That is not a problem. And then we can have kids from pretty much 4 years old, where they're going to start taking what is called the SASSY. Then they can take the SEAL team, and they can take the bubble maker when they are 8 years old. So it's different programs, but all of them start around 4 years old. And yes, we have dedicated staff that they can just go ahead and stay with them without any problem, and no need for you to stay around. Only as we scream and cry for you.
Okay. Anne is asking, what are the COVID requirements if you're flying into Curacao and then over to Bonaire?
Both of the islands require different paperwork, and they look into a different way. I'm not 100% sure how Canada or which part of the list is in Curacao. I will say that it's still as a very low or a low risk, much the same. And the paperwork that you use to travel to Curacao should be also accepted right here. So there is nothing in between. If you do not stay for a long period of time, if it's just transit, everything works exactly the same.
And we will provide you with those details too. It's constantly changing, but if you want to combine Curacao and Bonaire, which some people do, then you will probably have to take a COVID test again on Curacao to get to Bonaire. But if you're just transiting, you don't. Currently, Curacao requires that you do take a test on the third day of your stay. But again, all these testing requirements are so much in flux. We try to give you the most accurate information just before you leave.
And Steve is asking, probably us, have you heard if there will be a direct flight from Canada to Bonaire again this winter? No, there will not be a flight this winter, Steve. It's not on the books with any of the airlines for this year. Hopefully that may change for next winter. Christian is asking, do you offer packages for a couple where one is a diver, one is a non-diver?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's not a problem. So there is actually a couple of things that you can book. And then in the booking, you just have to mention non-diver.
Right.
And the quote is going to be completely different. So that's perfectly fine. You can combine both and not a problem. You will not be charged for any type of diving activity at all.
We have a question for the rental vehicles. Is it right side drive like in the Cayman Islands?
Everything is left. We don't live in the parallel world. We live in a regular world. But something to know and to remember, you better gain experience with manual transmission because none of them is automatic. So you're going to have a good fun driving some of those.
Okay, Larry is asking, he was just there in September. The parking for something special is now a parking lot for Between the Buns restaurant. So where is the parking for this dive site now?
The parking from Between Two Bones now works really great for divers as well, because nobody is really paying attention. If you're a diver, if you're going straight to the restaurant, that's basically a kind of open space where now people can just go ahead and park the truck right there without much problem. The thing is that, yes, that parking area is becoming a little bit more busy because there's plenty of people associated to the restaurant, but I never see anyone giving trouble to park the car and then drive and dive at something special place.
Do you lock your vehicle or leave it open? What do you do with the keys? A practical question. Someone has thought this really through.
It's quite simple, actually. You hide it at the place where you can find it back. You just go ahead and look at a beautiful rock that you can identify, just put it underneath, and then that's it. Not a problem.
Perfect. And then another question. So how many people can you put in a rental car? And they're usually trucks, pickup trucks, right?
It really depends, actually. If you have a booking for a 3-bedroom apartment within 6 people, so probably you're going to get a van that actually can seat more than 6, like 6 to 8 people. Then you have a studio for 1 or 2 people. So then you're going to get a van a truck that seats 2. And if you have, or if you request a bigger truck, you can also get one that seats 5 people on it. So it really depends, the amount of people that is booked through that specific room.
Yeah, all depends on how busy the place is too. So various sizes of pickup trucks, and depending on what size of apartment you're in, and how busy it is when you come.
That is all we have for questions from the looks of it.
I do want to mention that obviously Bonaire, fabulous for shore diving. Of course, you do need a buddy when you go shore diving, and that's why there's also boat diving available, typically in most packages, but you can choose to only shore dive. And a good option for Bonaire especially is that you join a group, because then you always have a buddy that you can join with. And actually, at this point, I'm not really sure if it's on our website or not, but most dive shops run a trip to Bonaire at least every other year or so, because it's such good diving for both beginners and advanced divers. I believe we do have one Bonaire trip in February that still has space available. So if any of you want to contact us at diving@flyindsea.com, we can set you up with that as well. February, March, April, super busy times. So most airlines only fly once or twice a week. So it's not daily connections. So it's important that you do not wait to the last minute. Thank you, Herman, for all those details. And any of you traveling to Bonaire in the next months or year, make sure you say hi to him. He's busy, busy man in Bonaire.
But more than happy to welcome you guys here. Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you very much for the invitation. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining us tonight, and everybody else as well. As you can see, we will be traveling to the Solomon Islands in 2 weeks, South Pacific. So lots of new and interesting things to see then as well and here. So we look forward to having you join us again in 2 weeks. Registration will open next week, Thursday, while we're at DEMA, and we will have lots to talk about too when we come back. So thank you very much for joining us tonight, and enjoy your evening. Goodbye, everyone.